You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, I thought we would take a little look at some reaction around yesterday's gargantuan trade. Many people I saw are calling this the biggest trade involving a defensive player in the history of the league. I'm talking about Myles Garrett going from the Browns to the Rams. And there is also this nugget, and I mentioned it yesterday, the idea that Aaron Donald may consider coming out of retirement to play alongside Myles Garrett, which is relatively interesting. And some are believing, well, number one, a lot of people think the Rams may be the Super Bowl favorites. The other thing is the Super Bowl's in L.A., right? So it could be this coming together of all these forces that leads you into some epic moment if you want to play for the Los Angeles Rams. Pat McAfee.
So we reach out to Aaron Donald. Okay, I reach out to Aaron Donald. And I would like to say, according to source, says, it for sure got me thinking. Okay? Me and Aaron Donald don't text on a regular basis. I'm not acting like me and Aaron Donald are like best friends. Okay, we all saw him push me off a seat down
yeah.
Pittsburgh. We know that.
Pittsburgh guys.
Now, he did grow up Penn Hills, which is directly next to Plum. Obviously, I know Aaron Donald, have massive respect for Aaron Donald, but this would be not a normal conversation for me just to be texting Aaron Donald. Would that be cool to be able to just text Aaron Donald? Would like to say yes. That would be a very cool thing. Would be pumped about. Yeah, so that's Aaron Donald. Okay, so we know each other, obviously. It for sure got me thinking. I said, holy shit, can I say that? Okay, that's what I respond with, okay? And then he responds with 35, removed 2 years ago, got to see if that fire can light back up. And then we show clips of him doing it, and I tell him, I say, you're from Penn Hills, brother. Fire is always in there. And then I say, go get the knives back out. Okay, and then there was a laughing response.
Okay. So who knows if that's serious? He's got to get the fire back up. He is training, which is rather interesting too. And evidently, he has been training. There was some fire around him coming back. I believe it was before last season. You know, so now you got to wonder, Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald? Yeesh. Even if it was Aaron Donald in a more abbreviated fashion, it's still kind of scary. As a Niners fan, it's pretty scary. By the way, I got to thinking, did the NFL know this was happening? Remember Niners, Rams, big Australia national TV game? How long has this been in the works? Because Adam Schefter today was on the Tony Rizzo show, and he said that the day that the Browns restructured his contract, Adam Schefter said 2 general managers called him and said, Myles Garrett's getting traded. That's what 2 general managers said the day that contract got restructured. Myles Garrett's getting traded. Or they wouldn't have done that. So how long has this been worked out? Andrew Berry talked to the media today, and he was asked about quarterbacks. Of course, right now it's Deshaun Watson, Shedeur battling for the top spot everywhere. There's not a place saying Shedeur is in the lead right now. We'll have to see how that turns out. Now, as far as getting a quarterback, quote, we're way too premature to figure out how we're going to deploy that asset, Barry said. We've got an entire season to play. We got a group of players that we're really excited to see this fall, and we'll deal with 2027 in 2027. Well, the other thing is the quarterbacks that are coming out have to be good. Does it look like they should be good? Yeah. But we're also talking about a world where all the draft pundits really thought that Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier were first-round picks, or at the very least, Garrett Nussmeier was a top 10 pick, and Drew Aller was a back end of the first, early second pick, and, well, we saw how that turned out. They both had down years. Now, are there a lot more to choose from for next year's draft? A whole lot more. A whole lot more. Now, the really big show, ESPN Cleveland put a poll out. You know, do you like the Myles Garrett trade? Asking Cleveland fans, 70% said yes. I got to be honest. I cannot wrap my brain around why I get it. If you're a Browns fan, okay, I guess, but you got a hell of a haul. Well, we didn't get 2 first-round picks. Yeah, you did. His name's Jared Verse, and he's already proved himself. And you have rookie contract control of the guy. The defensive player of the year on the rookie, when he came out as a rookie, the rookie defensive player of the year, you got him. And you get a first-round pick, and you got the second, and you got the third. No, you got a hell of a haul. The Jared Verse thing is being poo-pooed by Cleveland fans. That dude is a wrecking ball. He is going to stay disruptive and fuck some shit up for some quarterbacks. He's I'm going to close the pocket in and just let you suffocate guy. Whether he gets the sack or not, you got Mason Graham, whoa. We don't know how that that new defensive coordinator, is going to turn out there, but we'll see. The Miz, of course, he's from that area, and he's a Cleveland Browns fan, WWE wrestler. Not Myles, anyone but Myles. Before the draft, I buried the season. After the draft, I believed again. And now at 35,000 feet, the Browns have somehow found a new way to ruin my flight. Please tell me this isn't real. I don't know if he's coming back from Italy or what, but they had a PLE in Italy on Sunday. I think they're on a European tour right now. So maybe they haven't come back. GM Andrew Berry explains the decision to complete the trade.
So I'll be honest, I did not have this conference on my bingo card for this spring. I know you all have heard me say for a number of years at this point that, Myles Garrett, he's a foundational player, Hall of Fame worthy, and a homegrown talent that's been here for the decades. And, our intent was to have him be a one-helmet player for his career. And that was the truth. And even to this day, when Myles's, career is over, we look forward to welcoming him back, into the organization. But there are moments, particularly in my job, where, opportunities come up that, quite honestly, are unexpected. And they force you to stop and reevaluate and look at it and say, hey, is this something that could be, really beneficial to the team? And that was the case in this instance where, it got to a certain point where we looked at, what the trade details were. And we asked ourselves, okay, do we hold here, regardless of, how, because of how emotionally right it felt, or do we ultimately make a decision that we think has a huge benefit, to the team in both the short, and long term. I'd always told myself that if, we were ever in a position where we were going to trade Myles, 3 things would have to be true. Number 1, it would have to have short and long-term benefits. Number 2, as part of the trade, a young, cost-controlled star at a premium position would have to be included. And the third piece is that there would have to be premium draft capital. And there's a very small set of deals that really satisfy those constraints. So when it got to the point with our negotiations with the Rams, when all those things were satisfied, it really caused us to take a step back and think about really think about.
Okay, so that was his comments on that. I'm telling you guys, it was Jared Verse that got this thing done. Once they realized they could get him back, I mean, that was a big deal. I love the trade. It was floating around yesterday prior to it happening, and I said, if I'm a Browns fan, shit, I'm driving miles to the airport myself if I can get that haul back. If I can get a next year's one and Jared Verse, shit, sign me up. Because, and this is what a lot of fans aren't talking about, Myles he did not want to be there anymore. Should have traded him last year, and I would have. Because, I mean, what have you won with him? Honestly, if you're either trying to rebuild this team or you're not. And a lot of people have said, well, but Max Crosby and blah and that haul. Jared Verse is your other number one pick. Adam Schefter said today that if Jared Verse went on the market, he would be in play to get two number ones back for Jared Verse if he was on the open market. I don't know if that's accurate, but yeah, you'd get a first-round pick for him for sure. He's viewed around the league as being a stud of a defensive player. Now, is Denzel Ward next? I mean, there's some rumblings about that. So I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was rather interesting that Aaron Donald might be flirting with coming back. And, of course, Andrew Berry's comments. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.